But the one that we're going to steam into now, and I'm going to ask you, John, World Hurdle, talk to me.
Well, the World Hurdle, this is, it's quite a niche staying hurdles, female hurdles. It's a niche discipline. And for me, everyone talks about Annie Power's being a big danger, but she's unproven over this trip. And for me, I could never back a horse that was unproven over this trip.
Yeah, well, unproven over the trip, but like so many times they'll say she's going to improve for the trip. No.
I think as a 6-year-old, you just look at how Willie Mullins has campaigned Quevega and how much he's sort of looked after her. I think, it's a gruelling race, the 3-mile hurdle at the festival. I think, if they go for it, it's looking at that Annie Power long term, it's a tough ask for
I personally, if I was connections of Annie Power, I wouldn't want to run her in the World Hurdle with the doubt that you don't, they say we're on breeding, yes, she will stay, but, that hill at Cheltenham, up against possibly the best rifle she's ever going to face. So far she's beaten Zarkanda, Ascot and Cheltenham, and she also obviously beat Doyley Cart, who won today. Yeah. They're not big bucks.
So really arguably, the money that's come for it is maybe money knowing that she's going to run there. But Sandy, which one would you pick out then in for this World Hurdle?
It's a
toughie.
I really, sometimes I do like to find a left field horse that is a bit of a price, but I look at this race over and over again. There's question marks about so many horses. The one thing I would say about Big Bucks is the ride that Sam Twiston-Davies gave him, and he got a lot of abuse for that, and I think that was completely wrong.
No, well, I thought it was quite a solid performance.
I thought it was a very solid ride. He gave the horse every chance. Paul Nicholls come out and said that the horse needed the run, and I couldn't believe on Twitter afterwards. I know Twitter's that world where you do get a few people, but
like I say, I think after all that time off, I think being 3/4 of a length in, that was the horrible ground. We all know Big Bucks is at his best at Aintree and Cheltenham on decent good ground. After that time off, 3/4 of a length, I think we could see the engine still there, and I think when Paul Nicholls says a horse will come for the run, he said with Silviniago Conti, he'll come on for the Betfair, and then he'll be prime in the King George.
A mixed opinion, and that's what we love. But I want to hear your sort of final opinions. Where you're going to be, what are you nailing down, or if anything, are you steering clear again, John? Are you going to say no, not a betting race for me?
Well, as I said earlier, you have to look for horses that are proven over the distance, and I think at Fisher's Cross, proven, came second in the Cleve Hurdle. If the Big Bucks of old turns up, then obviously he'll win. But I just think his time might be over, and I think I'd be tempted looking at something else to beat Big Bucks.
You like your stats, Jonathan. I've got one for you here. Yeah. There's not been a 9-year-old or older since 1986 called Crimson Embers that has won this race. So for the stats, guys.
And so what are you deducing from that, Mr. Carson?
Well, I'm saying that the stats are there.
Stats are there, so
I've been out.
Because the only reason I brought that up is because Mr. Jonathan to the left of me here, he does like a stat, so I thought I'd bring one specially in for him today.
Well, Big Bucks won it 4 times on the trot. I can't see past Big Bucks myself. I think that Ruby is going to be gutted when Big Bucks trots past poor old Annie Power. But Adam, regardless of those top 2 in the market, Big Bucks, Annie Power, we've touched on that Fisher's Cross. Good to hear that Willie Mullins put in quite a positive word for Quevega. Anything else bigger in the market that you're going to take as your big each-way punt? And I want you to really nail this down.
Well, like I said, one of my anti-post bets was Big Bucks, and I think, the 5-2 Paddy Powering offering, people should go and snap their hands off for that.
So you're Big Bucks.
But looking at horses each way, there's not a lot really out there, Fingal Bay won quite well the other day. Obviously, they've just abandoned chasing with him altogether. Could be worth a little each-way bet, but I think in this race you shouldn't steer too far from the obvious, and that, in my opinion, is Big Bucks.
Okay, Big Bucks. Sandy, quickly, just the horse.
Big Bucks.
It's Big Bucks. And John?
At Fisher's Cross.
At Fisher's Cross. Well, that's a mixed opinion anyway.